The series has been running for hundreds of years, but how would we conclude it? How would we like to see it end? In my ideal ending to the series, Housing Market's allies learn the awful truth that he's secretly been the villain all along, and in a climactic showdown, they throw him into the vortex of the property force, killing Housing Market forever. But since Housing Crisis draws his evil power from poverty and homelessness, killing Housing Market and destroying the property force doesn't automatically make those things go away.
So he's conceptualizing homelessness as like incentive to buy housing, I guess. Well, that's not totally inaccurate.
Did you catch the more crazier fucking thing he just snuck in there?
No, what is it?
He's saying that in his fan fiction, he's just saying that he wants to destroy the private property field. He wants to destroy the concept of private property.
Yeah, no, I got that. That's the whole thing. That's the whole point of the video. But I don't understand how. My idea is we increase housing supply. How is getting rid of private property going to increase housing supply?
Why doesn't
sorry,
seem... you keep going.
No, you go.
Well, I was going to say, why doesn't, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, obviously. This doesn't compute, but why doesn't Ollie put his money where his mouth is? Okay, why doesn't he get rid of his property? Why doesn't he start giving his property away to everyone, right?
Well, he probably doesn't have any. He probably just rents a house or something.
This guy who makes thousands of dollars from Patreon every month.
Oh, you think he's a homeowner? You think he's a homeowner?
Well, yeah, but home isn't your only property. He just said he wants to destroy property, private property in general. Right?
Well, you don't know come on.
That's what he's implying.
There's a difference.
When he says he wants to destroy the...
There's a difference between private property and personal property. Come on.
I'm so sorry.
The commies bring this up all the time. You got to understand.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
If you threw this at Ollie right now, he would give you a, don't you understand, Sitch? I have personal property. I don't have private property. They'll even go as far as telling you that if Ollie owns his own home, that's personal property. That's not private property. That's personal property.
There you go.
If you own a home that you rent out, now that's private property.
Yeah, there you go.
If you make money off your property, that's private property. He wants to abolish that thing.
I always like when these ideologues, they have some argument. You go, wait a minute, your argument doesn't track. You know, if I apply it to some other avenue of your own life, they say, oh, no. I can just create an entirely new bullshit term to create a fake division so that I'm not a hypocrite.
Yeah.
It's not private property. It's personal property.
Well, there needs to be a market for rental properties. I've had people in my comment section say, listen, I don't want to own a home. I just want to rent a home. Like, it's too much work owning a home. I owned a home before and it sucked. Too much taxes, too much whatever. So there obviously needs to be a rental market. If you say, okay, everybody just has to own their own home, like you can only own one home, nobody can own two homes. How do you get a rental market for the guy who just wants to rent?
Right.
Because you're literally renting a house from some guy who owns two houses, right?
You can't.
Theoretically.
Right. You just take the property from them. You just give it to them.
Well, that's the problem with all this stuff. They intend to increase your freedom because, you don't have to work or anything. Everything's free. But at the same time, they limit your freedom because there's nothing to buy and no one produces anything. And you're going to take a lot of naps in that environment because there's nothing to do.
So I'm on Philosophy 2's Patreon. He has 6,121 patrons.
Oh my God. Okay.
And the range of donations, the lowest donation is $2 a month. The highest is $125 a month.
So he's at least making $12,000 a month.
At the very least, I'm assuming it's significantly higher.
That's some pretty good cheese. You should buy a home. You should buy two homes and rent one of them out.
Yeah. So this is our comrade anti-private property philosophy tube. Making all this money. I'm sure he owns plenty of private property. I'm sorry, personal property.
When your YouTube career runs out, it would be nice to have a couple rentals. You could get some money out of those YouTubers.
Well, it's so funny too because they show that like the average renter, like a lot of people who rent a property, they're not these super rich, elitists. They're just people like that's like their primary source of income
Yes. Yeah.
is renting the property. And a lot of times they're like middle class, or like they're right there. They're not like these super rich people. And it's funny that Philosophy Tube, who's probably richer than most people who are renting out property, is like trying to high road these people, like, oh, they're doing this evil thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. 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 You can get
Punching
screwed
down.
if you buy and rent. It's relatively high risk if you don't know what you're doing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Instead, all those other supporting characters have to come together and do what they always hoped their old hero would. Build something new. What would happen to all the properties that Housing Market used to watch over? What would happen to all the little side characters, like the
Watch over. Housing Market watching over the
Is
properties.
it weird? He just conflated the housing market with property rights. Like, it's fucking bonkers.
landlords? Well, with the property force destroyed, there are no more landlords. And really, I think a lot of fans of the series would be happy with that change.
See, that's it right there. That's
It is.
how
No more
half a million
landlords.
People have clicked on this video and give it a thumbs up. They're like, "Oh my god, it's my dream." He's selling people who hate their landlords the same thing that religion is selling people who want to live forever.
Right.
Immortality. Come to Papa.
It's funny because he's like, it's so funny. He's like, I want to get rid of the parents you don't like, the parents who charge you rent, but I want to give you the parents you do like, who just give you a bunch of free shit for nothing.
Yeah, totally. I'm there.
This is the pure infantilization of society.
It's not like landlords are a super popular character right now. I mean, they've been around a long time, sure, but it's not like they have any cool powers. They're basically the Jar Jar of the series at this point. What do landlords actually produce? How do they benefit society? In
Listen to this posture.
the world of the comics, all their power...
How does Philosophy Tube benefit society?
I
These
told you
stupid
already.
like YouTube videos that like makes people want to be fucking commies. Like, this is actually harmful to society here. He's creating a net harm to society right now.
Do you think so? I don't know if that's true.
Yes,
I don't know
100%
if he's
think so.
harming society.
So you think he's just useless? He's just a fart in the wind?
Well, it's like this is a religion for these people. I mean,
Right.
I always conceptualize it as a religion. Like, it's not really going to change anything.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's hard to tell whether, does BreadTube increase commie shit, or is it just provide material for the already commie shit people that are already communists, maybe.
You have to, like I said, the thing that worries me is that there are a lot of people in the situation where this is something appealing to them because
Right.
they are literally being fucked over by society. And you have to address that. You can't have tons of people that are constantly being fucked over by society. So although all of his solutions are complete garbage, it's good to know that there are people who have these problems. And like I said, we're sitting here thinking of ways to actually kind of try to solve some of these problems. His ways are fucking lunatic, but these are problems that need to be solved, right? I don't think
Yes.
we should live in a society where young people can't ever hope to own a home someday because of the fucking housing market's all screwed up.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's true. But it's interesting because it's interesting that, I mean, this will upset the libertarians, but they're sort of like the flip side of the communist, in that they're both like, well, the system is broken, so just get rid of it all. Like, it's like, the libertarian idea is like, oh, well, you just got to get rid of like all regulations or most regulations. And then the communists are like, well, we just need to have all regulations.
I guess I lean more on the libertarian side there.
Well, obviously, if your choice is between that and communism, I mean, I think,
you'd come down on the libertarian side too.
Sure,
obviously. Communism is
if
ridiculous.
that's my choice, is libertarianism or communism, I'm gonna go with libertarian. Every
But
time.
we're to the point where we have enough. I mean, we should be able to craft good regulation now.
Yes.
Like, in the past, the regulation that we crafted was guesswork, totally based off our intuitions.
Right.
And now that we know so much about how politics functions, how markets function, I feel like we should be getting better and better at crafting regulation. So I think it is wrong to just say all regulation is bad. I think that's not good, because I don't necessarily know that all regulation is bad. And I don't think Thomas Sowell says all regulation is bad. He, even in the book, says, you know, it depends upon the regulation. It depends upon what you want to do. His problem is that there are, where markets and politics intertwine, there are some perverse incentives set up that we need
of course,
we need to get rid of, that we need to figure out a way to.
But that's a problem of human nature.
Yeah.
So we always bring up with Dictator's Handbook is that's just the way power works. That's the way hierarchies work, and that's what we have to be forever vigilant of. And I'm just very skeptical of people like Philosophy Tube, whose response to this is like, well, you just throw it away, just destroy it all. It's like, well, the new system you want to create, it's going to have all these same problems, and it's going to have all these same corruption and hierarchies and all this stuff in it, because that's just human nature.
Yeah.
Throwing the system away and starting anew is just, you're going to breed all the same problems back into that system. And that's the problem. Every time they try communism, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
If you don't have a profit incentive, what happens? Well, people still want to climb the hierarchy. Well, there's no profit hierarchy, so there's the only hierarchy available to people to climb is the political hierarchy. And who can be more subservient to the government, and who can be more of a lapdog to the government, and
who can make more promises, who can take more stuff from other people and give it to you.
Right. And see, and that's what Jordan Peterson, who was it that said that the genius of like capitalism is that it creates all these different games
Jordan
and
Peterson.
hierarchies.
Yeah,
it
Jordan
was
Peterson.
Yeah, it was
diversification of hierarchies, and they're all prestige hierarchies. They're not dominance hierarchies.
Yeah, and that's such a genius thought to realize, is that that's why capitalism works. They're creating all these different hierarchies for people to excel at. And that's why communism fails, is because you're removing all those hierarchies and you're saying there's only one.
I stumbled onto some videos for laundromats. There's the guy who does laundromats, and it was totally fascinating. He's climbing the laundromat hierarchy. He's like, yeah, I got 2 laundromats now. I'm going to try to get to 10. But it's a crazy amount of work running a laundromat. I was fascinated by it.
Well, and that's the thing that these guys never appreciate, which is that they're like, oh, because they look at that guy who owns 10 laundromats and they're like, oh, that guy's evil. It's like, oh, that guy fucking is like crazy workaholic.
Totally.
He's incredibly driven.
He has a full-time job. He does He does one laundromat in the morning and another laundromat at night after work. Tell me that guy's not fucking working his ass off.
No, I know, and that's that's why I always say, it's just the free will issue always comes up again. It's because the real issue here is just that the real gap in society is the energy gap. It's all a question of people's motivation, and I think so much of that's just intrinsic, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All this, I think when gene editing becomes like standard in 30 years from now, there's not going to be any talk of any of this shit anymore. It's like, oh, everyone's just going to be a fucking type A go-getter. That's going to be weird.
If the transhumanists have it right, Joe Biden could be the first president that actually gets younger in office.
Wait, what do you mean?
Isn't that crazy? Because they're working on this like reverse aging shit.
Oh, you think they're going to give Joe Biden?
They might. I don't know. Can you imagine? We definitely have a good example. Like, he's lost a step. He's going in like 1 foot in the grave already.
Well, you see what they'll do is, you see they'll go into the White House and they'll have like the thing like, okay, Mr. President, this is the thing that like reverse ages you and makes you younger. And then Kamala Harris is there and she's like, oh, I'll administer it to the president. And she like swaps it out for like the poison. God.
Oh, that's so
it's
good.
Like, fucker.
That's so good. No, she'll inject it in herself and just give him like lighter fluid or something.
Yeah, exactly.